Today, we're going to look at why this Honda GX160 or 5.5 horsepower engine failed. And right off the gate, spoiler alert, I just found this out. It's not savable. At least not that I know of. If it was something silly, but we're going to find out what happened. But when I first went to this engine, I could tell it had no compression. Something was wrong with it. So I ended up just replacing the engine. I had a pressure washer. This went on a trencher. I'll show a picture of that right there. But this went on a on a trencher. I took an engine off a pressure washer because the pump was bad. So I sold him a used Honda for 130 bucks. He wanted to go Predator, but I said, hey, I have a Honda. Let's just put a Honda on it. You know what I'm saying? So when I went there to look at it, first thing I noticed was that the valves are moving fine. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just replace it. Obviously it has no compression, something's wrong with it. We'll go from there. Now, the reason I say it's not savable is because I just found this out when I was trying to drain the gas out. A bunch of oil went everywhere. Look at this. I just undid this, so now I just gotta remove this gas tank. Now I can actually go drain the gas tank. Look at that. There's a big hole. And I think that piece was on the machine. I thought it was a piece. Oh, look, I just broke another piece off. Let me reach in there and grab that. Yeah, there's a big hole. That's not fixable. Maybe a better mechanic can fix it, but I want to pop it open and look. Actually, just look it in there. It looks like what happened was the connecting rod broke. Good news is, anytime I do an engine change, I always keep the core. And if they say no to keeping the core, I charge them an extra $50 to $75. Because other than that, the engine's bad. If the crankshaft is good, I'll keep that. The muffler is good. The valve head looks good. The valves look good. The coil's good. The carburetor's good. The recoil was good. The little oil sensor's good. Everything on this is good and usable, and I could make about 200 bucks over time parting it out. Now, I was hoping my impact would work right there, but I'm gonna have to break all these crankcase bolts free by hand first and then impact them out. That one was on there pretty good. Okay, now I can impact them out. Then we could dig into this and see why it broke or where it broke. Now this thing had oil in it, so it wasn't low oil. Well, again, I don't know. But the oil was black. It wasn't like fresh, clean oil. Like, see, I forgot to do that one. Now this thing's gonna leak a bunch of oil everywhere, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. I drained most of it out already. Now I'm not worried about saving the crankcase gasket. And even if I was taking it apart, you always replace the crankcase gasket. This thing does not want to come off. There we go. Wow, look at that. Jesus. There's the problem. Now it looks like the piston rod just failed and just destroyed this whole engine. The piston might actually still be good because it was moving up and down when I was pushing it down manually. In order to get the piston out, I'll have to take the head off. Like I said, it's a good parts. The governor looks to be intact. Let me see. The cam looks, no, the cam's eaten up. You can tell, look at that, yeah. It got eaten up a little bit there. So yeah, the cam's shot. I was hoping it would be good because the valves were moving. Let me know what you guys think down below. To be honest, it looks like it just blew up out of nowhere, busted out the top too. Luckily that gas can was on there, could have hit the guy in the face, hurt him real bad. So like I said, I got a bunch of parts. So I'm gonna take everything apart and then I'll come back and I'll show you guys all the parts that we'll have from this machine for used OEM Honda parts. So let me show you guys like the final like haul. So I'll start with this. I kept the valves and the valve stuff. I kept the governor arm. And to be honest, throttle control linkage. This is good. Some people break these, some people lose them. The springs are good. Governor spring. The rods were not bent at all. So we're keeping those, plus various nuts and bolts. So you never know when you're gonna need them. I'll put them in a bin marked Honda 5 horsepower. Now, to be honest, surprisingly, the head was in like pretty perfect shape, decent. So this can be replaced, and this goes on Predators, Champions. You know, even if I just need to use the valves or the valve guide or anything, this is a good part. So that's a good run. I kept the side casing. Some people, these rust out. This still has stickers on them. So it's pretty good to keep if someone wants to replace it. This goes over the head as just a heat shield. The flywheel, sometimes these go bad, sometimes customers want to replace them. I can get rid of the rust and put some oil on it. I kept the flywheel fan. Some people like these break easily, so it's good to have an extra one, a used one on standby. Muffler, some people's mufflers do get rusted out real bad and get holes in them, leak. Sometimes you need to change your muffler from what's on there to one like this. Sometimes you want to be able to modify them if you're trying to do something, so this is a good one to, you know, modify if I have to cut it off or bend it. Now, to be honest, the crankshaft was in decent shape. Nothing's wrong with it. You can sand down the channel a little bit right there, but other than that, this thing is pretty perfect, pretty golden. None of the teeth are missing. Nothing's bent, nothing's ate up, nothing's chewed up. So we're gonna keep that. We did keep the coil. The coil was good. We kept the on-off switch with the low oil shut-off wires. I did not keep the low oil shut-off because those go bad and you don't want to replace those with the used one. You just want to buy a new one if the customer really wants it on there. So I did keep the switches and the wiring. Throttle control. It's good to have this. You can put them on any engines. If the engine you're working on doesn't have it and you want to add one, you have an extra one to use. Head gasket. I like these carburetor spacers. A lot of times these plastic pieces break when people yank on them too hard. I kept the carburetor, put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, spray a little oil on it. This thing will be like brand new, good to go if I ever have to replace the carburetor. I kept the basket. If I decide to change a basket or fix a recoil that's not Honda, I can use this one. That's good. I'm gonna keep the camshaft just in case, I don't know why. But I'm gonna keep this side cover too. If anyone breaks one of their oil checkers, I have both of those. And if I ever have to replace, like, let's say something happens to the side panel, I'll have an extra one of those. Now, what I was thinking was the piston shot. So I was gonna keep the piston if the piston was good, but the piston shot. Other than that, there's no scoring or nothing on it. But I wanna know, I'm gonna keep it just in case, cause I might use these piston rings. But would you guys use these piston rings, or would you guys just trash this piston altogether? Or would you guys keep any of these parts? You guys even do used parts? I think it's always good to have some used parts for the customer. But let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, I'm gonna mark all this, put it in a basket. Oh, and I kept the recoil because it's good to have. Let me wipe my hands off and grab this camera and finish this video. So like I said, when you guys do an engine change, I recommend keeping the core. And if the customer says, hey, I want to keep the core, then say, okay, it's going to be $50 extra, $75 extra. The reason you take off a core fee is because all these parts, I can probably get $100, $150 worth of used parts because they're all OEM Honda parts, right? So a lot of that stuff, like the side panel just the side panel cover, probably about 80 bucks, 75 bucks. I'm not going to sell it for that. I'll probably do 10, 20. This, the head, to replace the head, you know that's going to be a lot of money. The carburetor, shit, that's $90 for an OEM Honda carburetor. So, like I said, keep the parts. I do like keeping the various nuts and bolts because you never know when they're going to come in handy or when you're going to need them. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Just a little funny video, you know. I changed an engine. I just wanted to show you guys what I keep after I scrap it down and what I throw away. And I'm pretty much just throwing away just the block. That's about it. I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.